Why do we always underestimate? Why do we always underestimate the power of soft skills, or what people have come to know as those things that we may, park under the not necessary, but need to have um, kind of skill set? I'm trying to find the best way to describe it, because tonight's conversation is all about tonight's conversation is all about one of those soft skills. It's about one of the areas where in life we don't typically connect our way of being or who we are becoming to this particular skill. And what is true is that in today's very connected world, these are the types of enabling skills that are actually making a difference in how most people create and sustain success. So people always talking about, whether or not you can become successful. And there, when you think about success, there is a lot of the doing side of you that's associated with that, which of course is relevant, right? When you think about creating a successful life or having a successful experience and creating the lifestyle that you deserve, then yes, you're going to think about the things that are traditionally viewed as the type of skills that you absolutely must have. So you'll hear people talk about your ability to execute, to complete tasks. You'll hear people talk about more technical capabilities, right? But you don't often hear about things like what we're talking about tonight, which is self acceptance. Okay. And one of the reasons why you don't hear so much about it is because, for some reason, as we have transitioned into the different industrial eras of, developing our different societies and creating goals, and creating, business and building business and, sustaining families through the male figure in the home as opposed to the female figure, which that has now, shifted quite a lot. But ultimately, what has been happening is we have been seeing that this natural acceptance of, life have to be hard and you have to be on the struggle bus, that is no longer what you would call an acceptable way of being, or just the natural way that things have to be. So we're talking tonight, as we continue on our mid-year reset conversation, we're talking about that superpower of self-acceptance. And it is a superpower that you're going to be doubling down on for the second half of the year, largely because we are recognizing how critical it is to not just have the technical skills, that the technical skills will really get you going for a minute, right? These are the things that will make you feel like, okay, yes, I'm a high performing person, I know what I'm about, I'm a go getter. I can, navigate, I can time manage, and I can be technically competent, and I can do all these different things that are typically required of somebody who's on a path of success, especially when you're in the work world. But then we tend to apply those same technical skills for success to every area. So you're almost like blanket on your peanut butter on these skill sets that you feel you need to have to show up and be successful at work. You kind of peanut butter them onto everywhere else. So you want to be a high performer at work, and you got to be a high performer in your relationship. You got to be a high performer parent. You got to be a high performer with your health. It's just like there's a lot of the technical side of your beingness that is applied to life. And that's largely because we came up in a way that was very masculine driven, very masculine energy driven. And it doesn't mean that that's how men are supposed to be. It's just that that's the energy with which things were approached. And when you think about, something like self-acceptance or empathy or communication or emotional intelligence, collaboration, any of those things, those were all now deemed as being more weak or fragile and not really what somebody would consider a skill. But what we've recognized is that the things that they used to call soft skills, like self awareness and self acceptance, those are the actual skills that you need now in order to navigate all of the crazy things that are happening in this world. We are more connected as a society, as a globe, as an earth. We're more connected than ever before. And that connectivity is not going to lessen for the near future as we continue to become more device driven. And I mean, everybody has been talking about threads since last week. So you can see how we're going to have more and more apps coming on and just more ways for us to be in each other's spaces. And so these things like self awareness and self acceptance are going to far supersede other types of ways of being, right? It can't just be about the doing and the getting. It can't just be about the striving. It's not sustainable. And don't let anybody lie and tell you that it is, because you can actually see, like I've watched videos that they did this video series last year. I don't know if it was on IG, but it was on LinkedIn, where they were showing all these different male world leaders, like the top of top them, that is the senator, this, the prime minister, that, and all these men that are working and putting in all these hours, doing all this hard work. And they showed them dropping down at podiums. They showed them falling asleep when they're in, their big sessions. And that's because we're stuck in this habit and this belief that we have to strive all the time. We have to be on this efforting thing in order for us to get to that ultimate life that we desire and we deserve. But the truth of the matter is, by the time we finish all the striving, we're not gonna have any energy. There won't be any energy left to actually appreciate and experience the desired life that we want, right? And so when we talk about the distinctions that we need to make between what people would call hard skills or the technical skills and soft skills, I would be the one to say, well, our soft skills aren't really soft skills anymore. These are the skills that are the essential things to actually help us to not just navigate the personal growth and the professional growth that we're on now, but to actually sustain it. So yeah, you can go hard. You can go hard in your 20s and maybe even in your 30s, you can go hard. But at some point, your body, your mind, your emotional space, your relationships, at some point, something in your life is going to say time out. And I would want to position to you all as you are getting ready to look at the second half of the year and think about, well, how am I going to show up in the second half of the year? I'm going to position it to you that you should consider, how can I ensure that I'm incorporating the self-awareness and the self-acceptance in the second half of the year so that I'm creating sustainable growth and success rather than just being on this hamster wheel of the thriving and striving and efforting, right? And what is true, guys, is that I am a big supporter of being technically capable, right? I spent a lot of time, I still spend a lot of time in continuous learning, getting all kind of certifications. I mean, I'm definitely a learning junkie. That's actually what it's both a blessing and a curse. Like I have an Achilles heel for learning. I will feel that I need to learn something 10 times over before I can go out and launch a thing, or I can apply for a new role, or I can do something else. That's kind of how my brain works. Like I have to get the certification and I have to get this training, and degrees take too long, so I'm not on that path again. But at one point I was on that path, right? And a lot of that striving has served me very well in my career. I've built a really successful career in the space of technology, in the space of strategy, and I don't have any regrets there. However, I will say that while I was doing all this striving and efforting, there were many times where I would lose myself in the work. I would lose my connection with my family, with my kids. My kids are always wanting to, oh, she's in a meeting. Yeah, she's unavailable right now. Are you on a conference call again, mommy? I mean, the language, when you hear the language that the kids are using, it's very reflective of the experience that they're having with me. And in no way, shape, or form am I shaming any of us, myself included, that have chosen a path that equals work being a significant part of who you are. But if you can't recognize yourself outside of your work, and then everything becomes work, right? So there isn't a passion or a purpose outside of a job. Then that's when you really want to start doing that introspection and start doing that questioning work to see whether or not there is something that you're missing. Is there something that you're not paying attention to, right? You want to challenge yourself to see the beauty in those imperfect things about yourself, right? Today's episode of the podcast is all about this exact same thing. I talk about self acceptance, right? I'm talking about the way that we will slip away from ourselves, and some of that has to do with what we see everybody else doing, right? So you have the imposter syndrome piece in there. Some of it has to do with how we validate ourselves, how we find ourselves valuable. Like I know for sure one of the things I uncovered for myself is that I associated my value and my worth with working. That was a safe place for me. And so I would be all up in it. I would be working myself into the ground because, yes, I felt that that was where my value resided. And I can honestly say that if I didn't take moments away, I mean, granted, when I got cancer, that was really what put me at a major pause, right? If I didn't come to this major pause in my life, I don't think I would have actually taken a moment to really start being more introspective and step into a consciousness journey where I was challenging myself to see the beauty in the imperfections that were my life and to start to nurture my creativity and tap into the limitless potential within you, because there was more potential within me than work. There was a lot more to me to give to this world than my work self. And everything in my space, because I was not leaning into who I was fully, like truly behind wifing. Like I was definitely being a boss wife. I was winning at wifing. I was winning at mothering. I was being a boss at work. And I mean, I suppose if you ask my ex-husband, clearly he's an ex, so I wasn't bossing it that well. um, you know, my kids will tell you their own stories. But I think more than anything else, what I recognized was I was very disconnected from my true self. And thankfully, social media wasn't in my life at that time. So maybe I was less connected to seeing so many other people that would then influence my thinking even more, right? Because that's the truth, that when you're connected, when you're on social media and you're or even forget social media, when you're looking in the newspaper, when what you're walking through a bookstore and you see all these authors and everybody's pretty picture and everybody's posing up and nice and all of that, it makes it very challenging for all of us as individuals to stay connected to our own inner power, right? We end up in the shackles of comparison and a scarcity mindset because it's literally plastered all around you. And so you're not even thinking about, am I accepting myself? Because you don't even have that first level of awareness to recognize that there is some disconnection there, right? And so what we want to step into as you move towards the second half of the year is you want to embrace this fresh start. I just feel that every single moment, it could be right after this live, you feel like this is a fresh moment for me. Every moment you have an opportunity to embrace who you are right now, regardless of what feels like it's failing in your life. You have an opportunity in this moment right now to look at where you are shackling yourself And you can understand when I say when you're shackling yourself, it's because you have negative self-talk happening in your mind around that. It's almost like it's on autopilot. You can literally hear what your thoughts are going to tell you before they start to actually vibrate in your head, right? And so I'm here to say to you guys that all of the experiences that you have are normal, and they are also clues for you to know when it's time to challenge yourself, when it's time to release the need to be anyone or anything but yourself. Hi, Melissa. Yes, I do save the lives. I do save them. So this is, I think, number 9. I started them in the middle of June, and I'm going till, I think this is the last week of mid-year reset. And then we'll move into another topic. Yeah. So thanks for that question. Thanks for that question. Yeah. So these lives are saved, and actually, I'm live on both YouTube and Instagram. So if you want to see it on a wider screen and take notes, then hey, hop on over to YouTube. It's over there as well. Right. So in many instances, we may be even experiencing where it's not you that's having the scarcity or the comparison experience that you is blocking a blessing for you. Maybe you're in your flow, but possibly you're in a relationship with somebody, or you see it in your kids. If it's your children or your love partner, you can see it and they can't see themselves, right? And so what happens is you tend to get lost. That the person, or if it's not you, you tend to get lost in seeing the true potential. Because if you're stuck in self-criticism, you can't see your potential because you're just in self-criticism, right? And self-criticism breeds self-doubt. And ultimately, all of those things, and when you throw in now the comparison, oh my gosh, it's like a beautiful bomb that is meant to blow up the life that you are trying to create. So, this is where the superpower of self acceptance comes in, because what self acceptance allows you to do is it allows you to step into a space where no matter where you are in your life, you can find room to be okay with where you are and who you are being in this moment. And I'm not talking about when you're high flying and everything is great. I'm talking about even those moments when your life is a shit show, when stuff is going downhill and you feel like it's a dark night of the soul, like you're in this downward spiral and you just want to crawl under a rock. Please, somebody just call me, because I can't manage this experience of my life right now. I know it because I've been there on multiple occasions. And so when you are able to step into that self acceptance zone, right, it allows you to move out of that limited perspective. It takes away the blinders of failure or the blinders of hard life, the blinders of hard struggle. And it's like giving yourself a warm hug on the inside. It's like, I just need to be okay with myself in this now moment. It gives you access to forgiveness, right? And this forgiveness is for you first. Okay? So when you have that awareness piece, it allows you to step into the acceptance piece, and self-compassion is available to you so that you can actually now nurture your acceptance, and you can be motivated and inspired all by yourself without anybody's help, even though I'm happy to help. But sometimes you have to be able to do that for yourself, right? It allows you to foster that growth mindset, and you can, let me tell you, you can get pumped up on some self-acceptance when people talk about writing down affirmations, and like I talk about my intentions and intention setting. What they're actually talking about is this self-acceptance, that pump up, that rah, like if you ever watched Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru, and he does that whole thing at the beginning where he's like doing that pump up. He's pumping up himself too. And that is a part of self-acceptance, that self-pump up to say, yes, I got this, I can do this. But when it matters the most is when we are at our lowest. It matters the most when we're at our lowest. Because what we do is when we're in those low moments, we ignore who we actually are being in that time. We brush it aside because we can't look at that person. If I look at that person, then I'm going to just, you know, and there's nothing wrong with brushing aside once or twice. But if you keep brushing aside your authentic self, your true person, the person that's actually crying out for attention so that you can now move beyond whatever limiting beliefs are there, if you keep brushing it aside and not really leaning into what is this inner self, what is this inner voice trying to say to me, who am I that I need to accept? What parts of me am I not choosing in this moment? And how is this part of me that I'm not choosing making it very difficult for me to have a successful relationship with a love partner? Making it very difficult for me to build bridges at work? Make it difficult for me to step out and believe in myself and start my business? Come on now. Right? You want to be able to trust that somewhere along this path, the person that you uniquely are is ready, waiting, and available to you to bring your unique gift, your unique love, your unique career, your unique anything that you're birthing, right? You have to trust and know that this inner person, there is enough there for you to create whatever it is that you want. Because until you are able to get to that point, then you're not operating at full capacity. You're not unleashing any power. You could be doing till you're dead. You are not fully present. You're not killing it. You're almost killing it. I can't tell you how much I have been able to achieve by choosing me first. And it's not always easy. I mean, right now, I'm in the process again of choosing me first. And it means giving up a lot of things that the last time I chose me, a lot of things that I chose, a lot of decisions I made that I said, yes, this is what I'm doing. And yeah, okay, Stacey, this is who you're being. And then it's like something, we just buck up in something that said, no, my girl, you're still not there yet. There's still more to uncover. There's still a greater gift that you have to give to this world. And if you just lean into the discomfort of what you don't want to see, or what you don't feel you know, or where you don't have a certification, if you lean into that discomfort and accept yourself for who you are, my God, what you can actually gift to this world, you don't even know what value there is in it. You don't, you can't, your mind cannot hold the level of greatness that is available to the true you. So all this, you know that when I do these lives, it's for me and for you, right? I'm just saying. I'm just, I'm literally coaching myself while I'm having this conversation. But yeah, so I've gone a little long tonight, guys, but this topic is really important right now. And it's because as I've been sharing since I started the mid-year reset, I know so many people right now that are in transition from one state of their life to another. And I feel that just energetically, the middle of the year just calls for us to look back at the lessons that we have learned in the last 6 months and see how we can use those as leverage as we move forward. Because we're always moving forward, It's almost as though we feel as if we tap into the soulful side of ourselves, the spiritual, emotional side of ourselves. It's like we feel like, we're somehow going to not be able to do and progress and be successful and high performers. But it's quite the opposite. What actually happens is you're able to tap into that secret sauce that resides beyond capability and capacity. It's a deeper thinking, it's a deeper feeling, it's a deeper energy. And it's available to you if you are willing to accept yourself as you are, where you are right now. All right. So I hope this was helpful for those of you who joined. If you're just joining and you're catching the end of the live, I really encourage you to go back and look at why self-acceptance, especially at this time, is a superpower and one that you should start using by being reflective and looking at yourself and understanding what is it about me that I'm not bringing to this world because I'm afraid, or I'm afraid of not, I don't feel like I'm in control, or I don't feel safe. Start to inquire and investigate and see how you can bring more of your authentic self to the forefront as you head into the second half of the year. So thanks so much for joining, guys. I will see you again on another mid-year reset. Take care and have a good night.